This is Rob Carbone, and you're listening to BD4.
Here's Barrett from Shake and Bake. Hits a three. That's eyes in the crowd with Barrett. 5 on the 24. Barrett previously in the air ball. The drive, the layup. That's it home. Gets it back, keeps it out there. Barrett for three. RJ Barrett from downtown. Quick trigger three. Gets another triple. Looking for more. Smith to the buzzer. Now it's good. Smith from way downtown at the buzzer. No good open look. Puts it in. They're on their feet at Madison Square Garden. Elliott to Ewing. That'll make the Garden warm.
Patrick Ewing faced a double team, but still was able to hit.
Finish. And the foul. Easton comes under. Got it. 1 10 left.
It was game one. How was I supposed to expect this much offense? Glasnow versus Kershaw. Granted, neither of them have been postseason masters so far, but shit. I had the under on 9.5 tonight. I had the under. And we are in the bottom of the sixth as I speak. And, they're already on the verge of going over. 9 runs total so far. So I have to have 4 or 3 more innings of shutout baseball. But that ain't happening. I really didn't think this would happen. I thought it'd be somewhat of a pitching duel. Fuck. Tell you what, though, the Dodgers are beating the Rays pretty bad. They've got 8 of those runs. And, if they keep playing at this rate, man, they're taking it home. And their pitching staff is just as capable of being as great as Tampa's is. But on the offensive end, they've got a team who makes a lot of contact. They were, I think, in the top 4 in terms of strikeout percentage. And then they were also amongst, the top 7, placing 7th in total hits this season. And they're doing that. They've got guys like that who can make, put the ball in play. And, adding Mookie Betts on your squad does a lot because he's one of those guys who does that. He just hit a nice homer to right field, poked it the other way, shot one out. So now it's 9 runs total in the game. And my over-under looks like I'm fucked. Yeah, whatever. The one thing about this World Series, I love how there are finally fans in the seats, by the way. This is in Texas, I believe. Strike 3. I love about this World Series, it continues to really show the world that the MLB postseason is not this crapshoot. That's been the fake narrative these past couple of years has, it's been that the MLB is a crapshoot. Never believed it for a minute. I think that's one of those pointless, not pointless, but, senseless would be the best term. Narratives out there. The Dodgers had the best record in the National League. The Rays had the best record in the American League. Last season, the Nationals had the best record in the second half and overall had a very strong season. When the Astros won, they had the best record. Boston, 109 wins 3 years ago. It's, you'll have your exceptions here and there, but for the most part, we continue to see that the MLB postseason is no crapshoot. Even in a 16-team structure like this year, where it's a little different, continues to be the better teams win. And here we are seeing that again. By the way, I put out a hot take earlier tonight on Facebook. Don't use Twitter anymore, really. So, most of my takes are going to be on Facebook. Put out a hot take on Facebook, and nobody really uses fucking Facebook anymore. I'm talking to myself when I post on there, but I'll tell you guys right here who are listening or watching. Tyler Glasnow is heading towards that overrated type of label. He's been hyped up. This is probably the 3rd year in a row where he's becoming a big name. But 7 seasons in? Only 1 year where he pitched 11 times in 2019 has he had an ERA below 4. And that was an amazing year where it was in the ones, I believe. But it's been above 4 in every year outside of that 1 year. And you look at the postseason track record, another poor performance tonight. The ERA is well above 5. The sample size is getting pretty big. And if you want to pick it apart game by game, because sometimes postseason ERAs can be deceiving, a lot of mediocre starts, some dominant ones, some okay ones, but postseason resume isn't that pretty. The regular season resume isn't there yet. He's got the fucking stuff to be a lights out ace. Okay, he's got the potential to be a number one guy, but he hasn't done it yet, and we're getting that hype. So I think that's the definition of overrated, right? It's a good player, but not as good as he's made out to be. And so while Tyler Glasnow has all the abilities to be a number one guy, a number fucking one guy, and I think he could be, while he has those abilities, he hasn't been pitching to that caliber as consistently yet. That's overrated. He's better than what he is right now. He's talked about as better than what he is. So that's my hot take. Get on me all you want, but the numbers don't lie. If you watch the baseball games, it doesn't lie. Clayton Kershaw actually turned in a pretty good performance for the Dodgers tonight. Speaking of, mediocre postseason resumes. Yeah, looks like he won 6 innings and just that 1 run for Tampa. So the Dodgers look like they have this one wrapped up. Hopefully we can get a couple of clean innings for the rest of the way here so I can win my 9.5 under. But yeah, let's get to tonight's episode, which is not going to be about baseball. Talking Knicks in a bit, but I do want to talk about you guys excited for I don't know if anybody fucking watches MMA, but are you guys excited for Saturday? Now the shitty thing is, for some reason, the main event on the card starts at 2 p.m. I don't like how they just suddenly switched it on us. I loved watching those. I'm able to stay up late on the weekends with no work or school the next day. So I love staying up past midnight watching the main event. But now it's fucking in the middle of a fucking Saturday. I'm sure most people like that, but nocturnal owls like me don't like it. But I'm excited for the Khabib versus Justin Gaethje fight. Oh man, am I excited. This past weekend, Ortega beat the Korean Zombie. That was good for me because I had some shkadol on Ortega. And obviously the week before that was that fucking kick heard around the world, that spinning kick on Buckley. Oh, shit. But yeah, I'm excited for the Khabib fight. 28-0, the guy is. And this Gaethje kid, I've seen some tape of him. He's fucking aggressive. He's powerful. He's somebody who you don't want to fuck with. But he is the underdog. He is the underdog in this fight coming up. So we'll see what happens. But I think I am going to I'm going to go with him. I'm going to go with him. I like him. I like him a lot. All right, yes, let's head to break. But before we do, guys, I was on a podcast the other day recording with my buddy Greg. So that should be up in a couple of days, sometime this week, on Yankee Crazy Podcast, which you can find on Anchor, Apple, and a bunch of other platforms, Spotify, etc. So be sure to follow and subscribe to Greg's podcast, Yankee Crazy Podcast. I was on his show on Sunday night. We recorded Sunday afternoon, and we talked about the Yankees season review. More postseason talk than anything, because that's all that matters in New York. And so, yeah, be sure to check that out. It's coming out in a couple of days, I would think. So stay tuned and subscribe to Yankee Crazy Podcast if you want to hear me on Greg's show. I was also on my buddy Leo Rodriguez's podcast. He has a new podcast, Leo, called Say No More, where he talks mostly sports, but I think he mixes in some life shit too. And Say No More, we are up to 2 episodes there, Leo. I have been on both of those episodes with Leo. Leo is the host. I am his editor. So if you guys want to check out Leo Rodriguez, follow him on Facebook or on Instagram. I will put the link in the description for you, and I will put the link on, the thread once I publish the podcast on social media. Say No More is the name of Leo's podcast. Say No More. And he's also on Apple, Anchor, and all those platforms as well. Laughing because fucking everybody's wearing masks. And Joey Wendell's out here. Masks. Everybody's wearing fucking batting gloves. And Joey Wendell's out here. No batting gloves at all. Every single game. I've never seen the guy wear batting gloves. I love it. It's old school. It's fucking old school as shit. It reminds me of slurring my words. It reminds me of Jorge Posada. Fucking never wore the batting gloves. All right, enough procrastinating because I really don't want to get into Knicks talk, but we'll talk about a few things tonight. It's still slow in the headlines. It's still pretty slow. There's nothing going on other than just rumors, and more rumors. There's been a Mike Miller to the Houston Rockets fucking rumor. Does Jeff Van Gundy get hired over there? I'm hearing Mike Miller might go there too. Former Knicks assistant coach / interim head coach this past season. He's an assistant at the moment. I'm hearing the Knicks are eyeing Killian Hayes. And again, that's one of the guys I like at number 8. He is a project, and I know I kind of contradicted myself by saying I do not want any projects. But, with this draft, man, who the fuck knows? My opinion changes every fucking day. It's just a shallow draft. There goes my fucking over-under. Official. Oh, not yet. It's about to be, but... Killian Hayes, they're eyeing him at number 8. Do they not trade up for LaMelo Ball? And if the Knicks are to select someone like Killian, if he does fall to 8 and they do pick him, he's a good player. Outside of the fact that he doesn't have the best shooting yet, he's got good abilities as a point guard. He can run the pick and roll very effectively. He's a very shifty type of point guard. Changes speeds pretty effectively. He, I know the Knicks like his potential pairing with Frank Ntilikina, being that they're both French point guards. Could help with the chemistry there. And again, Hayes is more of a project than these other guys, but I think what the Knicks like and what I like is his supreme skill set is probably, better than a lot of these point guards in the draft as well. Outside of LaMelo Ball. The fucking shooting, I think he was only 29% this past season in Germany, but the free throw percentage was pretty good. So the good indicators, the indicators to be a good shooter are there. And I've heard some comps I've heard comps like I don't know. What's that fucking small point guard's name? Darren something. I've heard a fucking good one that I agree with if he does pan out. D'Angelo Russell. That's probably my favorite one, but that's probably his ceiling. Killian. And I see that. If he does pan out, I see D'Lo. So it's a fucking cool, a cool little rumor there to see that the Knicks are eyeing the point guard I like. And then again, we're going to get into some more specific things. I guess we'll talk about the CP3 trade rumors that, have gone on really ever since the Knicks season ended. And then we'll talk about these more recent rumors that have surfaced it's the Immanuel Quickley. Is that how you pronounce his name? Rumors. Immanuel Quickley from Kentucky point guard, and the Knicks are eyeing him to pick at 38, their 3rd draft pick this season, which is in the 2nd round. So Quickley at 38 is a potential decision the Knicks could make. So we'll talk about those things in a second, but As soon as we get back from break, we will get to that. So let's head to break first. A little plug, and yeah, be right back.
All right, fellas. So really quick, I just want to remind you that if you haven't subscribed to my podcast on the many different platforms that I'm on, you can do so right now. And all you got to do that is go to my website. Just go to nysportstalkrc.wordpress.com/connect. Once again, in order to subscribe to the podcast and listen to the podcast or watch it on the many platforms we have, go to my website at nysportstalkrc.wordpress.com/connect.
So yeah, I mean, with this whole thing with the Rockets, their GM stepping down, I think it was a mutual agreement, but he pretty much got fired. There's a chance that Westbrook is traded to the Knicks. Not a chance. It's not really a chance. But we talked about that in episode 168, how I don't love that. And that's probably the worst move the Knicks could make, in my opinion. Having to pay that salary, a lot of money, and it's not for very long. So you trade a lot of players, trade a couple of your building blocks just for, an expensive player who's pretty reckless to begin with and is not a winner to leave you in a couple of years. And you're going to have to start this whole process over again in a worse spot. Not a good idea. But we've also heard, like I said, these Chris fucking Paul rumors. And that's been something that's been happening for a while, these talks, right? OKC looking to shed some salary maybe this offseason. I know Danilo Gallinari he's a free agent. And he's, coming off one of his better seasons in 12 years. Probably his second best year. I looked at the numbers. So he's going to be expensive to an extent. Steven Adams is already on a large contract. They're going to continue paying him. So they're going to be close to the cap, and they're going to need some breathing room. So that's where the whole CP3 trade talk has been fueled from. We'll start with the pros. Okay. The first one, he's good. He's a good player, right? He's an all-star caliber point guard still. He'll bring some credibility to the Knicks, some stability at the point guard position, a competitive product on the floor. Maybe he'll change the culture a bit, and maybe he'll attract some free agents, right? Being that first all-star caliber point guard since Marbury. And even then, I don't think he won an all-star with the Knicks. Made an all-star with the Knicks. So that's the good thing. He's a good point guard. That's the one pro to start. He's going to make you a more competitive team to an extent. And there's also the veteran leadership thing that people love to throw out there, especially with being a Yankees fan. Being a Yankees fan, I fucking heard that shit so much. With Brett Gardner, with CC Sabathia in his older days. Gosh. But yeah, there's that veteran leadership. CP3 is an excellent leader. One of the better leaders in the NBA. People say he doesn't have a ring, and that's big, but perfect time to sip. That's just my opinion. But no, veteran leadership, he'll help Frank Ntilikina maybe at point guard. He'll help RJ and Mitch become more efficient, more productive. The whole CP3 effect, right? He plays with the Clippers, DeAndre Jordan, gets career highs. He goes to the fucking Rockets, and Clint Capella develops into an all-star caliber player. So, by the way, ever since Clint got traded, Capella, we've never heard of him. Just thinking that. Never heard his name since. But the CP3 effect, right? Comes and he helps players become better. Makes his, that whole cliche, he makes his teammates better. The cons. The cons. There are quite a few on my list. First and foremost, it's a very pricey contract the Knicks would have to pay. right? There goes my fucking over-under. Official. It's official. Damn it, man. That's a lot of fucking runs for a fucking game one. 10 runs already and counting. Damn it. Fuck. All right. Where were we? We were at pricey contract. Yes. They're going to have to pay an expensive contract, the Knicks, being that, he owed $41 million in 2021. And then 2022, $44 million with a player option that year. Are you fucking kidding me? That's a ton of money for an aging vet. He's going to take away a lot of cap flexibility there. I know the Knicks are able to create approximately, I read somewhere, $45 million this offseason in cap space. So taking away a chunk of that cap right there. A chunk. With the over $40 million you're going to have to pay him for 2 years. So that takes away the Giannis in 2021 free agency dream, right? That fantasy dream. That takes the Giannis away. Could also take away the chance to add depth, with a pricey contract like that, which is huge. That's look what happened in 2020. The Knicks had some terrible depth, and they lost a lot of games. Losing games because they didn't have the guys to fill in off the bench and so forth. Secondly, another con I have here written down, it's going to cost you a lot, not just financially, but on your roster, right? Going to have to give up, whatever, players, prospects, picks. It's going to be a cost, Probably not R.J. Barrett or Mitchell Robinson, but I would like to think Knox and Frank will be in the deal. Which is whatever. I deal with that. For CP3, though, I don't know. But the biggest thing here is going to cost more than just Knox and Frank. Probably have to, add in some draft capital to send over to OKC. Definitely some of the LAC, Dallas, and Charlotte picks. There's a total of 5 picks between those 3 teams that we've gotten. So that's going to be in the mix for sure. If you're getting a CP3, I'm pretty sure OKC is going to ask for some draft capital. I don't know if I do that. But it's just another short-term Band-Aid move. He won't be here in 2 years. Or just by the time the Knicks are ready to compete. By the time the Knicks are ready to contend legitimately, if ever, he won't be here. He'll be a short-term stopgap. So we're getting him just to threaten or barely make the playoffs for a couple of years. And while we're doing this, while we're being a middle-of-the-pack team, we're going to lose out on some decent lottery positionings. Right? The worst place to be, and we say it all the time in the NBA, is the middle of the pack. And the Knicks with CP3 will become a 8 seed. Likely, at best. You're not getting a good draft position. You're not getting a good spot there. Maybe 7 seed, and that's even worse. And then again, the age. He's on the decline soon, probably. He's 36 years old in May. He's got a little under 4,000 total career minutes, including the postseason, under his belt, and 1,129 career games altogether. So how much longer will CP3 be able to play at the level that makes this contract worth it? Or somewhat worth it. Right? He's not going to be he doesn't put up 20 and 10 anymore, I'll tell you that. He's more of an 18 and 7 guy. That's going to start dropping 16 and 6, 15 and 5, 14 and 4. It's not going to be 13 and 4. It's not going to be the fucking same. It's going to start dropping eventually. Maybe it does this year. So there are a lot of risks here when talking about trading for Chris Paul. I'm not the biggest advocate for it. I want to stick to this long-term plan. I'd rather try and find a point guard in the draft and fail doing that than using CP3 to stall time. That's just my take. That's just my humble opinion. Let's head to break one more time, or we got a couple more breaks, but let's head to break before we start talking about Immanuel Quickley. Be right back.
I'm on a few different social media platforms today. If you want to follow my Instagram account, follow at Rob J. Carbone. If you want to follow my Facebook or Twitter account, follow at NY Sports Talk RC.
Fucking keep forgetting to mute the fucking mic every time I go to break. So I'm sorry if there was a bit of an echo there. Fucking always forget. Always. The software I use is so fucking horse shit. Maybe it's just my tablet not made for video editing. I have a Surface Pro. I believe the 8th or the 7th. It's the second newest version. Last time I checked. But it's not fucking... Video editing, not the best. Video software, it's slow. It still hasn't fucking loaded on the screen here. If you're watching the podcast, the fucking title screen's not even in yet. Episode 169. It's supposed to fucking say it right there, but it's still taking time to load. There we go. Knicks Offseason Draft Talk, Part 6, Episode 169. BD4. Immanuel Quickley. That's who we got. Surface, fucking coming up in rumors lately. 21-year-old kid. A guard from Kentucky. 2-year player. Projected to go late in the first or mid-second. Making the Knicks an option. Making him an option for the Knicks at either 28 or 38. 6'3", 188 pounds. The wingspan, I looked all over. I found a bunch of them, ranging from 6'7" to 6'10". But, looking at this kid, he's got long arms. Okay? Put it that way. He's got very long arms. He was a 5-star recruit out of high school. And he won the SEC Player of the Year this past season, averaging 16, 4, and 2 in 30 games. 20 starts. John Calipari likes him a lot. He talks him up a lot. Calipari said he reminds him of Jamal Murray, and I believe he also used Tyler Hero as a comp, which I've heard from a couple other people as well. And I've also heard Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Those are some comparisons. Some very optimistic ones, some high praises there. So yeah, I wouldn't be opposed to signing someone like Quickley with the third pick the Knicks have this year at 38. Wouldn't be opposed. The pros are I think the first thing everybody notices is his elite shooting. He's a knockdown shooter, and the Knicks need knockdown shooting, right? Especially in the backcourt. He was 43% from three-point distance this past season, 145 total attempts, which was 4.8 per game. He's got a good quick form, nice release, and excellent footwork on the jumper too. As you can see here. Really good footwork. And the free throw numbers are great too. 92% on 156 attempts, 5.2 per game this past season. So, the form, the free throw shooting, the three-point shooting, all very good indicators that he will translate into a good shooter as well in the NBA. Doesn't have much of a mid-range jump shooting game. It's good. It's inconsistent, but it's good. I think his best shot in the mid-range area you're going to see is that floater. He's got a very good floater. One of the best floaters, more efficient floaters in college basketball this past season. He was 45% on his floaters, which is a remarkable number. High basketball IQ. Love those types of players. Quickley, and on the other end of the floor, he's a good on-ball defender. He's somebody who is not afraid to get skinny and navigate around screens. He guards the ones exceptionally well, and he'll be able to guard most twos as well. Again, good length with that wingspan. And going back to the offense, his shooting is what he's known for, and it's the movement shooting and the shot creating potential that everybody likes. He's got great off-the-ball awareness when he's running on offense. He's able to, although some of it may be scheme, some of it might be Calipari's scheme, he does do a fabulous job of attacking open windows for open looks, for good looks. He's good at finding, open pockets to spot up in. He runs the lanes also exceptionally well in transition. And he just knows where to go on the floor. He's good at getting open for himself, getting open without the ball. That's him. And when he spots up, he's good. He does that fake, often that ball fake, and then he'll do a little 1-2 dribble into a sidestep, a step back, some pull-up jumping. So he's good, with that 1-2 move. So those are the positives. Knockdown shooter who can play D. So potential 3-and-D point guard. Some of the cons now, he is inconsistent and a little bit streaky. In his freshman season at Kentucky, 37% field goals and 11 points per 40 minutes. Nothing really standing out at you. In his sophomore season, while he did, again, average 16 points, it was the last 20 games. He played 30 games, but the last 20 where he scored in all double figures, 19 points per game during that span, 47% from three. But then you look at the first 10 games, he was 31% from three, averaging 11 points. So we had some ups and downs, in his college career. So, inconsistent resume in college. The playmaking, the passing is not great for a point guard. You want to see a little bit better playmaking out there. He's not a primary playmaker, nor is he a secondary creator either. Calipari used, I think, 2 other guys on the ball before him this past season, just because they were much better in pick and roll scenarios. He had Quickley playing off the ball a ton. I think maybe 5% point guard in 2020. He was a pass-first point guard his whole life before he entered collegiate ball. So maybe there's room to believe he can become a good playmaker. But, judging by what we saw in college, maybe it was scheme, but maybe it wasn't. Maybe he's just not. Maybe he'll just become a shooter and a defender. More one-dimensional offensively. Also needs some work on the off-ball team defense. That's going to need some work for sure. Not the quickest feet. And then here I have, last but not least, in terms of his cons, his finishing needs a lot of work. Again, he's got a slight frame, slight build, so he needs more muscle to work on that finishing. He was just a putrid 42% at the rim in 2020. And you just watch him. He's not very explosive, not a lot of pop, and he's going to, shoot that floater before he attacks the rim. And he'll pull up for the jumper. A little side step back before he goes all the way into the RA. That slight build hurts him finishing, and, that'll also hurt him. He's going to have to get a little more muscle in order to defend the bigger twos in the NBA. But that's it. With Immanuel Quickley, I still would take, again, he's a second round pick. He's somebody who I think could be available at 38. And if that were to be, even at 27 or 28, is it? I wouldn't hate that either. But that's Quickley. That's him. And good player who, again, in a draft like this, whatever. Let's head to break, and then we'll get to our NYY NYK question of the day.
All right, fellas. So, really quick, I just want to remind you that if you haven't subscribed to my podcast on the many different platforms that I'm on, you can do so right now. And all you got to do that is go to my website. Just go to nysportstalkrc.wordpress.com/connect. Once again, in order to subscribe to the podcast and listen to the podcast or watch it on the many platforms we have, go to my website at nysportstalkrc.wordpress.com/connect.
All right, let's get to the NYK question of the day. All right, so fucking last time out in episode 168, I asked you guys who was the last New York Knick to win an MVP award. The answer to that question is fucking 50 years ago. It was Willis Reed in 1970. Fuck. There you go. We are dog shit. Willis Reed was the answer to that question. Last Knick to win an MVP. Episode 169 tonight. This episode's NYK question of the day. Who has the most rebounds in Knicks history? All right. Hint. A little hint here. Willis Reed is not the answer. He is second. Who's first? Pretty easy answer. You know, if you're a Knicks fan who knows, you know, their history a teeny bit, you'll get this. It's easy. All right. That's our NYK question of the day. Guys, I think that's it. So thank you for stopping by. Thank you for listening to BD4, episode 169 of the podcast. BD4, where there is no better way to get your Yankees and Knicks analysis. I am your host, Rob Carbone. Thank you all for tuning in. God bless you all. Hope you all have a nice night. It is a Tuesday night as I speak. The episode should be out the same night. I'm going to edit this and put it right up. Maybe you're listening to this Wednesday morning on your way to work. You're saying, hey, you know what I should listen to? I want to listen to Rob Carbone's BD4. You know, the podcast with 2 listeners, with 1 subscriber. No, but I do appreciate you guys stopping by. I'm going to go cry because I lost my under for 9.5 tonight and my wallet is hurting really bad. Hope you guys have a good one, though. Thank you so much for tuning in. God bless. Have a good night, and I'll see you next time. Ciao.
This podcast is sponsored by Anchor.